All right, we're back. Welcome to Bandzoogle Office Hours, the weekly YouTube live that we do, where we talk about anything to do with music careers, promoting your music online, writing music, using Bandzoogle, building a website. We cover all these great topics and get to interact directly with you, the watchers on our Bandzoogle YouTube channel, Bandzoogle members. If you are members yet or not, doesn't matter. The information here that we talk about is appealing to all. So welcome to everybody watching. Let me know your name in the chat there on the side. Let me know where you're from. Let me know the type of music you play. And if you have a website built, post a link to your website so I can check that out too, which would be really, really good to see. I'm always curious to see what people have done so far with their sites. If you don't have one built yet, that's totally cool. So let me know where you're from. Let me know your name and let me know the type of music you play or just the type of music you're listening to these days. Always looking for song recommendations. So if there's anything good you've heard recently, post the Spotify language. Let me know the name of the song. Would love to. I've gotten some really awesome recommendations through these lives from different musicians over the past couple of months. So definitely post your recommendations here. Okay, so as these lives work along the way, feel free to post any questions you have in the chat. We'll be keeping an eye on those. If you don't just want to say hi, of course, it could be about what we're talking about, or it could be just about anything in general, anything music related, anything to do with your site, whatever it might be. Just post your questions in there and we can have a chat and have a discussion about it. So today's topic is really interesting. So I know that anybody's watching this video, anybody's here for the live, there must be a little bit of interest around this, but we all know about how certain bands or musicians have made names for themselves or had a certain amount of success by doing covers, right? This is something that's been around for a long time. Some of my favorite bands growing up, I mean, made huge names for themselves doing songs that were covers. Bands like, especially one of my favorites going back from when I was little kid, is Metallica. Used to have their cassettes growing up, so I grew up on their music, and they had songs like "Am I Evil" and "Last Caress" that were covers of Misfits songs, etc. That did really, really well for them. That helped them sort of gain traction in their career along the way before they hit a certain level, and then you hit artists of course, much larger levels that, of course, will use covers as well to gain a little bit of traction, especially around this time of year, right? When it comes to the holidays, doing covers of certain like famous holiday songs is something that you see pop up a lot. So, this is just a list of artists that there's a very, very long list. So this was taken from a Billboard list of the top 500 covers from the last 30 years. So you could see, and this is just their opinion. This isn't based on streams or sales or anything like that, but just their opinion on what the best covers were. And some of these you wouldn't even imagine, right? I mean, the Johnny Cash version of Hurt, the Nine Inch Nails song Hurt, was awesome. A lot of people say that he wound up even doing the quintessential version of that song over Trent Reznor's. All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix, that's probably one of his most recognizable songs, which was a cover as well. The list goes on and on. Hallelujah, Jeff Buckley, right? There's, excuse me, so many covers that have become quintessential songs for artists and bands and have been huge sellers for them and huge traffic drivers for them. So it's something that is very viable in this day and age. So what we're going to talk about today is general how to go about choosing the song that you do want to do a cover of, perhaps, and then what's involved in recording a cover and releasing a cover. Okay, so that's just to give some inspiration and give everybody here some ideas. So song selection is a big thing, of course. Goes without saying that deciding what song you're going to be covering here, if this is a route that you want to go on, is probably going to be one of the most challenging things that you're going to encounter. So what are ways that you can approach this in terms of thinking about it? Well, you can start thinking about artists that you want to pay tribute to. So this is normally where people start. So people that were inspirations for you that you feel like maybe, they gained a certain amount of interest or they have a certain size following already. So the song's going to be recognizable. Maybe there's going to be enough of an existing fan base there that are going to want to hear your cover of it, that are going to be interested in hearing a different interpretation of a certain song. So you can start there. So maybe it's good to choose an artist or a band that, they have a certain amount of notoriety, a certain level of following, but they haven't quite hit the big mainstream yet. That's maybe the sweet spot. A little bit niche is okay when you're selecting the song, but you don't want to choose a song necessarily of somebody who doesn't have a following, an existing following. There could be a slight advantage to that. Well, you might be thinking, well, it's an amazing song. And so if I cover it, that's just the song's already written for me, right? I'm taking the source materials already there that I can take and pay tribute to. So there's an advantage anyways, even if they are really niche. Well, the thing is, one of the advantages to doing these covers is you want to increase traction for yourself. You want to have a sort of built-in fan base that's going to look for your song or find your song when they're searching it on YouTube, when they're searching it on Spotify, whatever it might be. So a little bit niche is okay, but try and find a sweet spot, an artist that does already have a decent following, a decent fan base that you can pull from. So one thing you can do, easy fix, like it says here, scan the charts for this year, see what's been charting already. Newer songs tend to not be so heavily covered. People tend to go a little bit vintage with their cover selections, right? Songs that maybe have fallen out of the collective consciousness a little bit, so it's not overly repetitive. But one thing that you could do is, for that reason, scan newer songs and see if there's anything that interests you. Then there's the 20-year rule. So this says go back to the early 2000s. You're starting to see now that bands like Limp Bizkit are coming back big, right? Bands like Creed are coming back big. Creed is touring again and doing arena tours because there's that 20-year rule. Like when I was a high school student in the late 90s, everybody was obsessed with the 70s. It was everybody dressed, with the bell bottoms and dressed like 70s hippies and listened to Led Zeppelin. And that was the thing that high school kids did in the 90s, right? And then vice versa. In the year 2000s, it was the 80s. And then, there's always that 20-year gap in terms of what kids are going to think is sort of like vintage and cool, and that's going to come back around in fashion, like clothing fashion, but also in music. So now it's the early 2000s, so you can start browsing that decade and see, like, hey, was there anything that inspires me, anything that I like that I could grab from? And consider, I mentioned this, but consider a Christmas song that's something that's relevant. Especially this time of year. I mean, it's November 15th. Now would be the time to get on that if you wanted to have that released in time in a couple of weeks. Probably would have wanted to have started a little while ago, but it's not too late necessarily to get something done. So you can start thinking about that. Christmas songs, especially covers. Christmas covers are always super popular around the holidays. People always want to get in the festive spirit, and that's a great way to get a song discovered on Spotify or on YouTube. So consider that if you're looking for ideas and inspiration. So then there comes to writing and arranging the song. That's the next step once you have the song selected. So you want to bring something new to the table. You could do a direct cover, beat for beat, note for note. That's not going to garner as much interest as somebody who puts their own spin on it, as a band that does their own spin on it. So wherever you can, that's something to consider as well. So if you've got a band, of course, and you can get everybody together, have a brainstorming session, get everybody's input there, whether that be like a different kind of unique guitar solo, a drum solo, whether it be a different kind of bass arrangement, get a bit of a different groove going to the song, change up the timing and the patterns a little bit, change up the vocal melody slightly to give it a little bit of a unique flair, whatever that might be. Have a little bit of a brainstorm session and come up with a way that you could tweak the song to keep the essence alive of what made the song popular and what made the song appealing, but then to put your own spin on it and make it something unique that will catch people's attention. For example, you could add violin parts over the guitar. If you know somebody who plays a string instrument, you could get them in to do a quick recording to add to it. Introduce a saxophone, a horn instrument. There's different things that you could do to add a different layering onto the song to give it your own unique addition. And that's a major selling point as well, like it says in the last point there. Instead of just being a beat for beat reproduction, it's always showing your style, putting your accent onto something. An existing piece of work is something that's going to make it really, really appealing for people to want to go back and listen to, because it's something recognizable. It's a song that they already know, but it's taken with a different spin, so it's fresh for them to listen to, and then they can start getting into your version of it and listen to that all over again, and it's like rediscovering the song again. Prepare multiple formats of it. So once you have it down, once you have it recorded, you want to prepare the track for release and run a pre-save campaign. So a pre-save campaign would be getting all the material ready to go for when the song is eventually released. So you could do things like make a lyric video. A lyric video would be something that would go on YouTube, for example, where it's a static visual like an image, or like a rotating video with the lyrics kind of over it. So it's something simple. It's not a fully produced music video. That kind of thing is great for things like TikTok, for socials, or you could produce a full-fledged music video as well. These days, I tell people this in the different webinars I do for Bandzoogle all the time. These days, producing a music video is a lot more accessible than it used to be. It's always good. I mean, if you have the budget, if you're going to be allocating money towards this, if you can hire a I do, the air quotes professional videographer, or just somebody, whether that be a larger production company, which is going to cost an insane amount of money, but a professional videographer can be a freelancer. It can be somebody who has the right equipment, somebody who knows what they're doing, who've worked on these types of projects before, who might do freelance work on the side. If it's not this huge production, if they're just going to be meeting you on a location, bringing some box lights and a good camera and setting it up and directing you and getting some good shots, that's something that won't necessarily cost a fortune. But these days, when I say it's more accessible than ever, what you can do, everybody's got a smartphone in their pocket, or at the very least knows somebody who has one. All smartphones take, well, modern day smartphones from the last, let's say, 5 or so years take 4K video. So you can definitely, get a $10 tripod for your smartphone on Amazon, prop it up, get some good lighting, find a good space, and you can make your own music video just using your phone. People do this all the time. Then if you have a little bit of experience with editing softwares, you can do it yourself and play with it and make something interesting. Or at that point, you can go and hire a graphic designer, a video editor, a freelancer to just edit it together and put together something nice with the footage for you, which would be a lot less expensive than hiring a videographer or a crew to come in and shoot a video for you. And then prepare short clips, things for, for reels, for shorts, for TikTok, and get it out there. TikTok specifically, then the number one discovery platforms for musicians these days. For shorter clips of new songs, if you want to get a track out there, put together a cool sort of 10-15 second clip of the song, get it out there on TikTok and see what happens. It's a great way for people to discover you. Put your link in bio on your TikTok profile so people can find your Instagram, people can find your YouTube, your Spotify, whatever it might be. Direct back to a smart links page that you can build off your Bandzoogle website and get them discovering you from there. But prepare short clips. So when we say the preparation that goes into this, it's getting everything ready so that when the track drops, you have all this promotional material ready to go, and then you can hit the ground running with everything. And then releasing your song. So once you're ready to go, what's involved in that? Like, I mentioned before, the pre-save campaign. So you want to do everything you can to give the song the best chance of being discovered. So on top of everything I just mentioned, you can use a distributor like DistroKid to get the song listed on every single streaming platform. If you're not familiar with distributors, what they do, so DistroKid will take your track, take your album, and they'll get it listed on all those great places like Spotify, like Apple Music, so on and so forth. So get it listed, get it out there. Add a smart links feature. Like I just talked about, that's a link tree. So, the traditional link in bio that links back to a tree of all your links, get that created so that what you can do, you can link back from your bio and Instagram, from TikTok, and promote the single through there. So you'll see that in people's link trees, they'll have, of course, all their socials, but then they'll have listen to our new single here, listen to our new single on Apple Music, on Spotify, and they'll promote it in their tree as well, in their smart links tree. So you can do that as well. Update your website, your email signature, send out an email campaign to all your mailing list followers, post to your socials, get information about the song out there, let people know that it's available for streaming. Post your video, of course, to YouTube, experiment with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and just see wherever you do have followers, mention it regularly. Post those clips that we talked about before, those little shorter clips that you're going to have prepared. Another way they can come in handy is that you could say, okay, for a period of a week, I'm going to post a short clip of this song a day. And that's where a lyric video can come in handy too, because you can break that up and it's just easy content to create, where you can post 10 seconds of it a day and give people little clips. It's not repetitive content, but it's exposing them to the song in little bursts. So you can prepare all this content ahead of time and then release it to people and say, I'm going to run my own little campaign for a week or two or for a month, whatever it might be, and push the song out there. You could try paid advertising. So on things like, let's say YouTube, you could do paid promotions. On Instagram, you can do paid promotions as well to push it out to newer audiences who aren't your existing followers. One good thing to do with paid promotions is to just experiment with a couple of dollars. So we're not talking big budget things here. I mean, you can put a couple of dollars, $5 down on maybe 2 or 3 different kind of videos. And they're not all going to work, because depending on everything from how you're titling the video to the description to the thumbnail image that you're using, it just might not get a lot of interaction. But if one works, then you can say, okay, I'm going to put a little bit more money onto that one. Maybe I'll put $40, $50, whatever it might be. It's just an additional way to get some more traction on views. And of course, you can submit your song to different playlists, right? Especially like we're talking about like holiday songs. You definitely want to get on as many holiday playlists as you can at that point if you're doing an interesting cover. So there's services like Submit Hub that you can use that are going to get your songs out to different playlisters. You can approach different playlisters yourself, approach bigger, like say YouTube channels, music reviewers, anybody who curates playlists, pure playlists that you listen to that you enjoy. You can get in contact with them and submit the link to your song and say, hey, I'd love if you could feature my song in your playlist. I think it's really relevant. And if you canvas enough, you'll get it listed in a couple of places, and that'll just increase the views as well. And there you go. How to use cover songs to boost your music career. It's There's no doubt. Not everybody thinks about that. I think there's a little bit of a stigma sometimes around covers where artists might think, well, no, I'm an original music creator, so I'm not going to go that route of doing covers. Maybe they think that it's something that's a little bit below them in a way, in some way, shape, or form, just because that's something they used to do when they were starting out, because it was considered a little bit easier than writing your own songs. And it's, a little less scary to go on stage if you're playing covers or to put a cover out there as opposed to original music, because it's something that's already established. But as an established act or an act that's trying to gain some traction, it is extremely, extremely useful to do it strategically every once in a while. If you find the right song that you have the right interpretation of, it can be very, very useful for you to get some more traction for yourself. There is a blog post based on this. Some of the information taken from this was taken from one of our blog posts you can find on bandzoogle.com. If you are curious about building a website to promote your music, to promote your tracks, then use the link in the description of the video to get 15% off the first year of a Bandzoogle plan. So use the link in the description down below. It gives you a 30-day free trial, so you can commitment free. You can try it for a month, see if you like it. And if you do like it, you get 15% off the first year, which is awesome. You need a website to be an established artist and promote your music. So give it a try if you haven't built a website yet. And keep an eye on the channel. We do these lives every week, Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we post on the channel weekly as well with music industry advice, tips, and tricks, and also some feature walkthroughs for Bandzoogle. So keep an eye open for those. Thanks to everybody who popped in and out today during the live. We had a good amount of people filtering in and out throughout, which is the nature of YouTube lives. Hope you got a kick out of it. If you're watching the replay, everything I mentioned at the beginning, don't be shy. Let me know your name in the comments. Let me know where you're from. Let me know the type of music you play. If you do have a website built with Bandzoogle, post a link to it in the comments too. I would love to check it out. Don't be shy to say hi, and let me know if you have any questions. Cheers, everybody.